China's economy is very dynamic. The market liberalization there has brought the economy forward. The evidence can readily be seen by the increasing affluence in cities like Beijing and Shanghai. To understand this better, we went to the Industrial Bank in Shanghai and spoke with Mr. Lu Zhengwei, their senior economist. Why has Shanghai continued to enjoy such good economic growth in recent times?
It is a part of the entire national economic growth. Shanghai is just a part of that for the past 30 years. Plus, Shanghai is more like a manufacturing industrial base in terms of the Chinese national economy. And basically, the Shanghai government has really put a lot of emphasis in this regard to promoting export of their goods. And also, Shanghai has emphasized human resource development too.
Can you tell us about the urban infrastructure development here in Shanghai? It seems like that has been really growing and faster and faster and faster over the last 5 years, and it continues to grow.
It's a part of the national economic growth that's happening all over the country. According to an official Chinese report, urbanization of China is basically at 45%. So everywhere else is going through this huge infrastructure building process that is happening everywhere, not only in Shanghai.
Shanghai is considered by many to be China's economic jewel. Everywhere you look around the skyline here, you see that there are buildings going up. But the reality check is that this is only one small part of China. And when you get outside the urban areas here, you see that there's extreme poverty, and this indeed is a developing nation. Tell us what it has meant to the global economy because China bought so much of the U.S. debt.
Let's put it this way. In terms of foreign investment, Chinese investment in America is still very limited. So most of the so-called investments in terms of equity, Chinese finance in this regard is more influenced by America, rather than China trying to influence America. Due to the financial crisis, security is suffering quite large. So from the Chinese perspective, they feel that there is a security issue in terms of equity investment and also in terms of FDI investment.
As Shanghai has gotten more successful, the labor cost in Shanghai has gone up.
In terms of manufacturing, labor costs in Shanghai is high compared to costs in other neighboring regions. So that's one of the factors that need attention.
Why is China's economy growing so fast? How do you explain that?
Over the past 30 years, China has been on the racetrack in terms of analyzing the global economy. The basic strategy is based on low manufacturing cost. So far, it proved it's been a success until the financial crisis. And one of the special features of the Chinese economy is the deposit rate is very high and allows huge investment. It's a great driving force in the Chinese economy too.
The Expo has brought a lot of money to Shanghai. How much would you say, and would you call it a success?
This is a partial success. One of the reasons is the traffic is very high. 70 million visitors. In that regard, it is a success. But more of the visitors come from domestic places rather than international places. So in that regard, and compared to the target of Shanghai becoming an international center or economic international center, that's still a high priority.
GM started building a electric car facility, a research facility back in July here. Now that's a company that almost went bankrupt in America, but they've decided to invest here in Shanghai. From your perspective, is that a good thing, and does that signal more U.S. investment here?
By transferring technologies to here, GM is basically able to utilize and take advantage of this global integration. Look at the three big auto players in the US. During the financial crisis, they suffered quite a lot, so they have to look for the new trends and find some new mode of development. Transferring technology to here helps elevate them to the next stage of development. Also, it's good for the Chinese side too by working together with GM and local Chinese enterprise and industry. We might be able to elevate Chinese manufacturing capabilities in the auto sector.
During the World Expo in Shanghai, General Motors, who built a development facility there, used the expo to demonstrate its electric vehicle specifically designed for growing cities like Shanghai and Beijing.
China could well be a critical market for this type of vehicle. There's a lot of interest in electric vehicles and small electric vehicles. There's problems with urban congestion. There's development of new cities that might be very good places to test out and introduce this type of vehicle. So we think that China could be a really attractive market for this type of vehicle in the future.
Because of China's growing economic influence, how, as an international banker, do you feel that has affected international relations around the world?
In terms of volume, overall GDP, China has passed Japan as the largest economy. In terms of volume, it's passed Germany, becoming the #1 exporter globally. This is a real achievement in terms of volume. On the other hand, if you looked at per capita GDP, China is still very underdeveloped. You can't tell much difference here in Shanghai, but if we're going to go to a remote place in China, you will be surprised to see how poor, how underdeveloped those places could be.
Is the global economic crisis coming to an end? Mr. Liu believes China's economy is recovering, but sees stagnation in Western countries because there is a lot of financial obstacles, bad debt that needs to be absolved.
It will basically take 2 to 3 years for the Western economy to fully get back on its feet again.
Mr. Liu says that the next financial crisis might hit emerging economies harder. Frank UCRO for South South News, Shanghai.